Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another live stream. And we are edging ever closer to deadline day tomorrow, 11 p.m. And things are hotting up very nicely. There's been a lot of activity today. You know, we had the Enzo Fernandez stuff gathering a bit of pace last night. It seems to have gathered some more momentum today. No, we're not quite there yet, but it looks like Chelsea and Benfica have broadly agreed on a £115 million move for Enzo Fernandez, just remaining to get the green light from Rui Costa, which is a bit of a problem. He seems very reluctant to give it, but we might get it tonight. We might get it tomorrow. As long as we get it before the deadline, I think we'll all be happy. There's lots of other news going on as well, though. We've had, obviously, Everton, £45 million bid for Conor Gallagher with add-ons included. We've had, obviously, Hakim Ziyech in the last half hour in talks over a move to PSG. Arsenal wanting Jorginho. We might still be able to get Moises Caicedo as well as Enzo Fernandez. Everything's going on. Don't really know where to start, but delighted to be joined, as always, by Lawrence. Bro, thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it. Where do we begin, mate? Let's start with Enzo Fernandez. Seemed unlikely at the start of the window. We had hope. The hope was gone. The hope's come back in the last couple of days. And we're all just clinging on, hoping it might happen, or we could be really upset.
It's happening.
You think it's definitely happening, mate? You're sticking it out there now that he's going to be a Chelsea player come 11 p.m. tomorrow.
Mate, I mean, obviously we had Rafinha, we had
Koundé.
Koundé, exactly. Apparently Ziyech to PSG is a dry loan. That's a bit boring, that. But anyway, sorry. we'll get onto that later.
Get onto that one, yeah.
But still, it just feels like we've thrown so much at this. Like, everyone seems to be in Lisbon right now. We've just relocated all the way from Fulham all the way to Lisbon now, because everyone that works for Chelsea is in Lisbon at the moment. From Todd Bowley, Egbali, Bivell. What's his name? I forgot the guy's name.
Stanley?
Yeah, with Stanley, but also the dude that was already here on the Roman Abramovich. They were talking about him being there. Bob Barner something. Do you remember?
Oh, what, Barnard or something? Isn't he like a secretary or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He was there apparently yesterday already. So all sorts of things, going off. Some plane apparently left from London to Lisbon, which I'm not really sure.
Oh,
why do we need to take the plane from London to Lisbon? But
we're in the plane tracking phase now. It's got that bad.
Tice just sent the tweet in our group chat that apparently this very flight also was in Amsterdam or was in Holland just before we announced Mudieke. And Mudieke was also wherever we got Mudryk from, or all these other places.
Bro, that's
our signing plane, bro.
That's the transfer private jet, mate. We got separate ones because we're ballers.
Exactly. Oh, Ziyech news has been confirmed by Fabrizio now.
So just a straight loan, which
that part, that's not necessarily just the fact that advanced negotiations.
Right, yeah. Because L'Equipe were reporting that, and that Santi guy, who's reasonably reliable, I actually think. Confirming that it's a straight loan, no option to buy. We'll get onto that later on, but I mean,
sorry, I got distracted.
Yeah.
Back to
all
Enzo.
good, bro.
It feels like we're getting it done, doesn't it? To me, I don't know.
Well,
it's just got that feeling about. Surely we can't
get
not
this close. Surely,
yeah,
mate. It's the hope that kills you. I just can't deal with it. Like, we've forgotten about it. We accepted it wasn't happening, and then we're back in again, and now we think it might happen, and we're still waiting. Wait, do you wonder what are we doing in these meetings at the moment? Because the only issue seems to be the structure of the payment. We're happy to pay 120 million euros, which is the release clause. We don't want to pay it up front. We want to pay it in installments over several years. Surely you either come to an agreement or you don't. What could we possibly still be deciding about? Whether are we still on our list of reasons to convince them why accepting installments is good? Have we got a long list of those? I don't really know. I mean, what do you think the hold-up is here? Because you've got buy-in from the player side. I think we simply must be waiting for Rui Costa's approval.
Well, either that, Rui Costa's approval, or it's a case of negotiating details. Do you know what I mean? Like, where they maybe have come to a point where they're like, okay, maybe we will accept your 120 million euros, or as reported, as you touched on, 130 million euros, 115 million pounds to pay even over the release clause to get it done in installments. But then they want, the details of which installment will be paid, and they probably say, we got to figure that out. And then we probably go to some other meeting room and sit there for another 2 hours, figure out how to adapt the contract offer. And I don't know. That's how I'm imagining it. It's probably just, I think, now details to figure out, because, I mean, what was his name? Rui Costa, postponed some dinner he was supposedly going to. So this does not seem and sound like release clause or nothing situation. Otherwise, why the hell would the guy be, cancelling dinner reservations? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but yeah, this is
Costa
true.
to accept the release clause because the release clause is the release clause. So clearly something can be done. It feels like it will be done. Whether it's tonight or tomorrow doesn't really matter, does it?
No, it doesn't really matter. To be honest, I mean, there's not really that much more to say about it other than we're prepared to pay the money, and we're just waiting for Rui Costa's for his green light. Let's throw it forward. I don't want to tempt fate, but let's pretend that this happens and he does end up being a Chelsea player. How good a signing do you put this down as? Like, do you think it's like really top draw signing in terms of everything we need in the midfield? Obviously, we're fully aware that we do need another midfield player, but do you think his profile, not very many players fit the profile that he's got? Age is massively on his side. Potential's there as well. It's almost a deal that we can't say no to, in theory.
No, exactly. I agree with you. It is top transfer. Now, obviously, how things will work out, how soon he will be great for us, how long he will stay with us, those are all questions only time will tell. But in terms of what he is, the attributes he brings, the type of player that he is, the thing that we're missing and him being the person that can add that, I think it's what we've been crying out for. Like you say, we definitely do still need a more defensive option, in my opinion, because, it's weird because obviously, we'll get to the Jorginho stuff later, but I'm very intrigued how we're going to use Enzo. We're going to use him as like a deep player to spray the passes from deep, or we're going to allow him to push forward a little bit more, which then
look at him
would pose the question, who would sit a bit more?
I look at him more like more in a Kovacic mold.
And I agree with you. I'm sure he can do the sitting role as well.
Yeah.
He has done for Argentina in the World Cup. I'm sure he did for Benfica at times too. But I still don't think that's necessarily getting the very best out of him. That's to me like, well, maybe not quite as extreme, but like when people say, I'll put Reece James to right centre back, I'm like, yeah, he can absolutely do that. But you're not going to get everything he can do out of him in that position.
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. I think it's good, mate. I think it's a great move. I don't think we can say no to it. And you're looking at someone. Look, whether these guys that sign these long-term contracts are all going to stay here for the whole length of their deals is we don't know that. We don't know. But you're looking at it as an investment, and okay, let's say it's 130 million euros. Let's call it 115 million pounds, if that's what it is. If that's the number being reported, then you do that over a 7.5-year contract with an option for a further year. With amortization, that's looking at, if he stays the length of the contract, looking at about 15 million pounds a season for Enzo Fernandez, which, when you look at it like that, it's great. Obviously, it might not work out like that. He might be here for less time. We don't know what's going to happen. But when you spread the cost like that, we're not paying this right now. This is what people don't understand. We're not paying this now. We're committing to paying this over a number of years. So that's totally different to paying it all in one go. So when people say, "Oh, Chelsea have spent X hundred millions in the window since new owners have came," we haven't actually spent that money yet. We've committed to spending that money, but we might not actually even spend it all because all the add-ons might not be hit. So whilst we've committed to spending the money, it doesn't mean we will be spending that money because we might not hit all the additional kind of terms with those add-ons.
There doesn't seem to be add-ons in this one.
No, this just seems to be straight 115 million. But I just mean in general, it's like irritating when you see, like, I don't know what it's like in Austria on Sky or whatever the main kind of broadcasters are, but Sky UK, like Sky Sports or whatever in the UK, like they'll when they're doing their fees and stuff, they're reporting Mudryk as 88 million. Like, we haven't spent 88 million. We've committed to spending that, and we could spend it if the additional clauses are met, but we haven't spent that. So like it's irritating when you see that. So we're spending a lot of money, but we haven't actually spent that money yet. We're just committing to spending it. That was a bit of a tangent, but people kind of don't really seem to compute those two facts together. In terms of where he fits in, mate, obviously he goes straight into the team. No two ways about it. How do you see him fitting in best, though? Because Do you think we go pivot? Do you think we go 3-man midfield? I mean, let's talk for the remainder of this season. He comes in. Do you think he plays in a pivot, or do you think he plays in a 3-man midfield? Where do you see him best fitting in?
Difficult to say. I think it doesn't really, like, in terms of where he fits in. The formation is not necessarily,
or where he gets used. Where do you think he's going to be? How do you think he's going to be used? Is probably a better question.
Yeah. See, I mean, until not long ago, I was pretty sure he was, like we just touched on, going to do a little bit like what Kovacic does now, just with obviously slightly different attributes, a little bit less dribbling, more passing, stuff like that. But with this Jorginho news, I'm like, well, maybe we're going to deploy him deeper, and not necessarily deeper, you know, in terms of a 3-man midfielder needs the deepest of the 3, but just it might be a pivot, because I still feel like at the moment with Felix and Mount and those types of players, I feel like we're probably more likely to play 4-2-3-1 a little bit more. Let's see what happens next season, but for the time being at least. So then in a double pivot, it's just a question of will he be the more offensive or the more defensive one?
Yeah, I think he can probably do both. And again, it'll probably depend on who's available, what teams we're playing, whether we're away from home, whether we're at home. But he definitely makes a huge difference. And yeah, I mean, there's not really too much more to say on the Enzo stuff. We're very much just in the same position that we kind of were at the start of the window. We've put the bid in. I think the bid's gone in anyway, or we're prepared to bid that money. I think the bid's been submitted. I think Ornstein and Fab both confirmed it. So yeah, it's basically just a case of waiting. So there's not really any significant updates other than the bids in.
Well, I'm sure if they say no again, we will just increase again. Not necessarily monetary value, necessarily, but just in the structure, improving it even more for them. I mean, even if they say no, I don't think that's the end of it.
But do you not think, though, from a Benfica perspective, I understand that they don't want to lose one of their star players that they only got 6 months ago. But at the same time, surely you're thinking, like, part of the board, other than Rui Costa, are probably thinking, well, hang on a second. We're never going to get as good a deal for Enzo Fernandez as we are right now. Even if you throw it forward 6 months to the summer window, they're not going to get this much for Enzo Fernandez in the summer. I wouldn't have thought. I mean, what do you think? Do you think from a Benfica perspective, this is the best deal that they will ever get for Fernandez?
I don't know, if I'm being perfectly honest. Like, there's a lot of opinions floating about this, right? You know, some people think, oh, they're never going to get this in the summer. Obviously, there has been talk that Benfica are actually trying to increase the release clause, which would arguably then maybe get them more money in the summer, or at least open up the potential of them getting even more money in the summer. There's also the potential of creating a bidding war in the summer, which you're not going to get now, which, you know, could lead to a higher transfer fee as well. So I don't think you can sit here either and be sure of either or, you know, that they might get more, they might get the same, they might get less. I think all three of those are options. And I think that's why Benfica are hesitant. And that's probably why there's a reported split in their board in terms of some think, well, we might not get this, so we should probably accept here. And then the others probably think, yeah, but maybe we get more in the summer. And then on top of that, obviously, it helps them win their own league, do well in the Champions League to whatever extent that's possible for them. So, you know, there's a few ways to weigh it up for them. You know, that they told us better that Barney isn't taking no for an answer. So,
well, we're just going to sit there until they say yes, and hope that happens before 11 p.m. tomorrow. Well, I mean,
if they never say yes to a now deal until say 9 p.m. tomorrow, we're going to say, okay, summer deal then.
Yeah, that's what I was going to come on to next. Obviously, like this needs to be done. Realistically, we need to get confirmation either tonight or it needs to be first thing tomorrow, because we've got to do all the documents. There'll be a lot of documentation in a deal of this size, and he's got to do his medical as well. Now, obviously, we could fly medical staff out to Lisbon and do it in Portugal. There's obviously hospitals and medical facilities there. So, you know, we could do it there to save time, but this needs to be done tonight or early doors tomorrow in order to give us enough time to complete all the formalities of the deal. In all honesty,
I don't know. Think about
how long do you think it takes?
Deals have happened. Think about it. Like, you know, I know not necessarily always this big, but
I mean, how long do you think you need then to do a deal of this size? I mean, what's the latest for you then?
But from what point onwards? You mean from once we've agreed with Benfica?
Yeah. So once we've agreed, you probably need half a day to do a medical. I mean, how long does a medical take these days? I don't really know.
Medical probably takes a few hours, but in terms of the documentation, I don't think the documentation will be that much of an issue. Number one, with the amount of people we have working there now.
Oh, everyone's there, mate. Those pens are out and ready to go.
No, exactly. And half those documents will be half written up already anyway. And then, there's not that much to it. The registration to the FA, I don't think will take that long. So the medical is probably the main thing. But you can even theoretically probably, as long as Benfica allow us to do the medical, even if we haven't come to a full agreement, you can even do the medical before you have the full agreement. So like they might just fly Enzo back to London tomorrow in the morning, do the medical, have the medical done by the afternoon, and then we get the announcement in the evening time.
Yeah, I mean it's not a long flight. What I was going to say, mate, as a compromise, would you accept a deal being done and he joins in the summer, like with Gusto? You take that. It's not for you. It's not absolutely essential that it has to be now. As long as we get him confirmed, then you would happily, if that was the trade-off, we'll accept your payment terms, but he stays with us for the rest of the season. That's still a good deal. Yeah,
no, I think so. I mean, obviously, then you'd think it's a bit insane if we still pay over the release clause, even though it's for a summer move. But in the grand scheme of things, if you ask me that question, would I take it if we agreed him now to come in the summer? Yeah, sure. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it would be great. Everyone's talking about number 3 Champions League and stuff, but
Bro,
even with all those signs, I'm not sure quite how realistic that is. And top 4, even if we win every game, is no guarantee. So, I'm not gonna base the rest of this season as the most important, the most factual thing, or as the most relevant thing, like whether it happens now or the summer. What matters is that he comes. Like, yeah, I'd hope that it happens now, but if it has to be in the summer, that's still better than never.
Yeah, for sure. Mate, in return to this, I'm not sure what Joel means here. Assume you guys don't rate Duncan Castle's info that highly. Is that referring to, I mean, I don't think I've dismissed it. Have we disagreed with anything? Is this new info or just the info in general? He was pretty...
not sure, because I feel like when Duncan Castle said negative things, that was
earlier today, wasn't it? Yeah.
Said positive things again. So
yeah,
that I've seen anyway, unless I missed something.
Yeah, I mean, if there's something new, then maybe not. No, I'm not discrediting him, but he is well known to be like a sort of a Mendes spokesperson, isn't he? So, mate, before we move on, it's come up a couple of times in the chat. Lee wants me to ask you about Oliver Glasner at Frankfurt. Obviously, Chelsea spoke to him. Well, apparently sounded him out in the summer, I think, supposedly. It's not going to happen. Well, it's not going to happen straight away. It's not going to happen, hopefully, for a few years. But yeah, I guess I'll ask you, mates. People want to know. What do you think about Oliver Glasner at Is it Frankfurt?
Yeah, it is Frankfurt. It is Frankfurt. It's a difficult one for me. Obviously, he's Austrian. That's why. Yeah.
I didn't realise. Oh, fair.
No, he's Austrian. That's why he's probably saying, "Ask me about it."
Yeah, mate. Mate, need some expert info.
He doesn't have the best reputation, but when I say that, not necessarily as a manager, I mean as a person. He has the reputation of being a bit not the nicest dude, but I don't know if that's just in terms of certain ways. I'm not saying on a personal level he's not a nice guy. He just might seems a bit of a prick sometimes, but I don't know, because he's done well at Frankfurt.
He won Europa League
average when he was in Austria, and he did decent things, but nothing out of this world. We are like, oh my god, look at this guy. And then I'm pretty sure he was at Wolfsburg before he then went to Frankfurt now. Yeah, I'm not sold. So if Potter does fail and this is our next option, I don't know. Now I'm not an expert in terms of how does he play all the time and whatever else. You see that his teams can work, but also at Wolfsburg it didn't work. So that it would certainly not be my first choice if we were to replace Potter. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. Mate, let's move on. Big news that we weren't, I certainly wasn't expecting. The future of Jorginho is no secret that he probably isn't going to be signing a new contract. I think we're pretty certain of that. He's going to move on in the summer. I don't think any of us were particularly expecting Ornstein to drop the dagger that Arsenal are exploring the possibility of signing Jorginho this month from Chelsea. If they can't get any breakthrough in their negotiations with Brighton for Moises Caicedo. Where do you stand on this, mate? Jorginho is one of those that really divides opinion amongst the Chelsea fan base. He's done some great stuff during his time here. but then also he's been criticised for obvious weaknesses in his game, which we all know about. For me, mate, we cannot be entertaining the idea of selling. I know Chelsea are open to a sale. Surely it doesn't make sense to sell Jorginho to Arsenal to help strengthen their title bid. I mean, where do you sit on this? I haven't got a problem necessarily of Jorginho leaving this month, but I'd feel a bit shit if we sold him to Arsenal.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. Sorry. Like, how can a word would I want to say about this? Like, I agree with you completely. We absolutely cannot. Like, I don't even understand why there's even some fans that entertain the idea ever of selling to rivals. I don't understand. If you ask me, we shouldn't sell to any Premier League clubs that are any bigger than West Ham. West Ham is about the biggest level of club I would agree selling to in the Premier League.
Chelsea and Arsenal have done a lot of business between clubs in the past. So we sent them Cech, David Luiz, Willian.
I know that's many of those occasions.
No. And then obviously we've taken Aubameyang. Aubameyang's ex-Arsenal, but we've taken obviously Ashley Cole in the past. I mean, Gallas has gone there from Chelsea. Like, Chelsea and Arsenal have done business, but
no, it's true, absolutely.
But what I would say is that those players were at different stages of their careers, and all we were getting decent deal in return. We got Ashley Cole in return.
I mean, Luiz is probably somewhat similar, but
yeah. But I mean, do you think? I mean, I don't even think Chelsea should be selling Jorginho this month. I mean, how much money do you think it would take from Arsenal to potentially force Chelsea into a sell? He's got 6 months left on his contract. Are we thinking we can get more than 20 million for him?
No. I mean, I think if they offer 20 million in pounds or upwards, I understand why they would be tempted to agree. Even if it maybe isn't their first choice thing to do, if you get 20 million offered for a player that's going to leave on a free in 6 months, I understand where you would want to take it, but I'm telling you, as simple as it is, for the peacefulness in my own household, with my girlfriend being a huge Jorginho fan, I do not want this
mate, it's not gonna, mate. She might convert to supporting Arsenal. Can't have that.
Exactly that. I might have to chuck her out the window. Do you know what I mean? If that happens, do you know what I mean? If I see too much red, I'm becoming suspicious.
But yeah, mate, where do you stand on Jorginho in general, though, before we get back to this deal? Just in terms of, like, what are your thoughts on him? Because, as I said, he divides opinion big time. Do you think, I mean, we've all criticised him for, like, when he's for poor performances and, like, his obvious limitations, particularly physicality in the midfield, easily getting dispossessed and whatnot, and quite easy to beat on the transition and etc. But do you feel he gets a hard rap from certain sections of the fan base? So I actually think over the course of the years that he's been here, he's done very well for the club. Let's not forget that he come third in the Ballon d'Or. Only Lampard has made the Ballon d'Or top three at Chelsea. I think I'm pretty sure.
No, exactly.
Yeah. So he's a very good player. But do you think it's unfair, the criticism he gets, or does it go too far? I mean, everyone's got a right to be criticised, but I think it goes too far personally.
Yeah, no, I think it absolutely has been too harsh at times. I think now, like you said, he has obvious weaknesses, but what I always find the amusing part about it is why fans always go at the player for their weaknesses. Why I'm like, but why not have a go at the people that signed the player or kept the player until now? Do you know what I mean? Because, like, if it was such a problem, we could have just let him go. Right.
Yeah.
So the people that plan the squad, the managers, they are aware of Jorginho's weaknesses and still never tried to, like, get rid of him, other than Lampard, obviously. But for Gilmore, so that wouldn't have really changed anything in terms of weaknesses. Maybe a bit quicker, but he's equally as weak, so
yeah,
that would have helped. But yeah, I do think he's harshly criticised. That doesn't mean he's never done anything wrong. And that doesn't mean he's always perfect. Absolutely not. Now, I do think in a very well-functioning team, a player like Jorginho can be outrageously useful and good. I think Jorginho would have had 3 times the Premier League career if, when he joined us, he instead would have joined Man City. People would probably talk about him as one of the best midfielders in the league if he joined Man City, because Man City are such a good team as a whole that, number one, they can make up for weaknesses of players, which we can never do, and they can also exploit strengths of players, which we also always struggle to do because we just roll the dice and just mix up our squad of random players that
Oh, Lawrence is frozen there. Oh, he's back in the mix.
Was I frozen?
Yeah, you froze for a sec then, mate. Yeah. No,
Oh.
say that again. They were just random mix of players. But yeah.
Yeah, just thrown together, different managers, different suited to different styles. So yeah, I think he's been out harshly done by it. I mean, I've always remained what's the word? I've always just retained the opinion that I would rather keep Jorginho than Kante. Purely for an availability standpoint, that's the main reason.
Yeah. Would you be open, regardless of it being forget Arsenal? Let's take Arsenal out of the equation for now. Would you be open to selling Jorginho this month if an offer came in from Italy, say I don't know,
outside of England?
Outside of England,
would be done? It has to, But
would you rather get the money for him or let him go in 6 months? Do you think we need him? If Enzo comes in, do we still need Jorginho for the rest of this season?
I think yes, because I think Enzo should be playing with Jorginho until we got somebody else to play the 6th role. Because who else is playing the 6th role? Or is it just Enzo and Kovacic? But I'm not saying that doesn't work, but I feel like to get the most out of Enzo, it would be better to play Enzo with Jorginho than to play Enzo with Kovacic.
Yeah, and I don't know. As I say, who would play the 6th role? Because Ruben's not a 6, Gallagher's not a 6.
I think Enzo will. If Jorginho leaves, it has to be Enzo. Because who else is it going to be? Unless it's Zakaria,
but he's been using Zakaria. But he's used him further forward. So it's an interesting one. Dharmesh, thanks for joining, mate. Appreciate it as always. We'll get straight into just thoughts on Jorginho. How would you feel, mate, about a potential transfer of Jorginho to Arsenal? How does that sit with you? Do you think that would be a big mistake in terms of letting him join a rival and strengthening their title bid? I get it from the club that they're happy to listen to offers. We need to make money. We've spent a lot of money. Players are going to leave. He's going to leave at the end of the season, pretty certain anyway. But how does a transfer to Arsenal potentially sit with you?
Big up Charlie, big up Lawrence as well, big up the chat as well. Thanks for having me on again, Charlie. This story, man, it's just literally come out of nowhere. Like you could just give the excuses of like Arsenal trying to panic buy, then them look at FFP and stuff, all the stuff that they're criticizing. Like these guys don't even have a plan. They're just at this point panicking because obviously Partey's injured, isn't he? And obviously they can't really land Caicedo. But overall thoughts on the transfer, like, see, the thing is, I wouldn't sell him now, just because we've still got the Champions League to play for this season. It'd make more sense if we sold him in the summer, in my opinion. But then again, if we got the correct amount of money for him now, I wouldn't be too fussed if we did move him on. But then that would mean sort of, is Bowley planning to get Caicedo in as well? Because obviously, I don't know if you guys have touched on those rumours as well.
We haven't got to that yet. We'll get to that in a sec, yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy. And like, I hate to say this, but Jorginho would absolutely flourish in that Arsenal system, in my opinion. I think he'd do really, really well for them, like, sad enough. So I kind of don't want to see it happen, but at the same time, if we get the right amount of money, because what did we spend about 15 million on him in 2017? Is that the correct figure?
Roughly around there. I don't know how much.
I think it was like 60 million, but like 10 or 15 million of that was kind of buying Sarri out as well. So who knows how much of that Jorginho cost and how much of it was for Sarri? I don't know.
Yeah, so
I'm not sure if we ever found out, to be honest.
Yeah. So it's just one of them where at the moment I keep, but if we got the right money for him now, I'd move him on. But then I'd sort of want like a replacement for him, because obviously we don't have Billy Gilmore left with us anymore. He's obviously at Brighton now. And I think as I was just coming on Aaron stuff, I forgot it was either Lawrence or Charlie were talking about playing as a double six with Enzo or something like that. Yeah. And I just don't think I don't know. We've kind of left it late in a way, but yeah, I just want us to sort of go in for Caicedo as well. If we do move on Jorginho, I think it would just make sense in that way.
It's serious. Imagine. Sorry if I'm.
It'd be crazy.
Yeah, imagine we're buying both, man. It's a simulation.
Oh,
it's
mate,
it's not real life anymore.
Let's not rule it out. Before we get to it, Lawrence, just very quickly, mate. Jorginho's always spoken about how he loves Chelsea and whatnot. Before we get onto this, I just wanted to ask you: do you actually think, if a serious offer came in, do you think he'd be tempted by a move to Arsenal? I mean, He's not won a Premier League title. There'd be a strong chance that he could get a league winners medal at Arsenal in a few months' time. Do you think that's crossed his mind at all? Do you think any part of him could be tempted by this move if the interest materializes and a bid goes in?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to say. Obviously, I'm sure the guy loves Chelsea, but what you don't know, whether loving Chelsea for these players that we've brought in from foreign leagues and from foreign countries, has the rivalry been enough for him in like his, I'm Chelsea, I hate Arsenal now. Is that enough for him to say no to a Premier League title, to, playing in a team that's going to make him look way better? Also, leaving a club where half the fan base on a daily basis abuses him anyway. So, it's not like we've done ourselves any favors in terms of, we've treated him so well that he will never say yes to anybody that we don't like. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he says yes. David Luiz said yes. So, if David Luiz says yes, why wouldn't Jorginho? Even Petr Cech said yes. Now, Petr Cech obviously lived in London for 10 plus years and had his family and kids here. So there was a bit more of a reason to that. But even then, Jorginho is together with a woman from England, from London. So, how likely is he going to be to leave? To want to leave? I don't know. So I wouldn't rule it out completely, but it depends on what their plan is for him, I guess, right? Because if he's only playing when Partey's injured, then would he be interested in that? He might not be. Then again, he might just be a competitive person, as most athletes are, and back himself to get in over the team over Partey. Now, whether all of us agree with him on that or not is a different situation, but the money he would get at Arsenal would certainly trump the money he would get in Italy. That's for sure.
Sorry, just to add as well on that. Sorry.
Yeah, go on, mate. Go on.
Yeah, just to add to that as well. As Lawrence mentioned before, even if he left, as a fan base, we don't really deserve him in a way because we've slated him so much. And it's I've always said to even makes that chat to people generally, Jorginho's the most underappreciated / hated person in probably our fan base because of, I think it's just the way his style of play is and sort of the mistakes and the overrunning in midfield that we've been suffering for the past 5-6 years. So but then when he has a good game, nobody really takes notice apart from sort of the Jorginho stands. But then at the same time, when he has a terrible game, they're onto him like a hawk, literally like that. So yeah, it's just a weird one with Jorginho, to be honest. I think he divides a lot of opinion. I personally like him as a player. He's really, really good as a sort of squad player as well. Just to bring off the bench as well, and I think he's good enough to start as well. But yeah, it's a proper stranger with him personally.
Can I ask both of you guys a question? Is there a price where if we heard, okay, Arsenal offering this, where even if we don't want him to go there, we're like, yeah, but this is kind of so good of an offer for someone that only has 6 months left on the contract that we kind of have to take it. Is there a number in your head? Because for me, I'm like, if we get £20 million, I'm like, for someone that's only got 6 months left on a contract, I'm like, yeah, maybe you have to.
And he's in his 30s and he's in his 30s as well. Look, as much as I wouldn't like to see it, and it might help Arsenal potentially win the league, mate, I think at £20 million, at someone that's leaving for nothing in June,
yeah,
I think we have to take it. I mean, Dharmesh, what about you, mate? What do you think? What would the money have to be to come in for you?
It's a good question. Yeah, I probably agree around between 20 and 30 million we can probably get out of them because, funny enough, we know that Arsenal have the money because they're throwing all this money with Caicedo, so we can sort of screw them in a way and just say, yeah, give us 60, 70 million right now or something like that. I know that won't happen, but yeah, I'll probably take between 20 to 30 million. If more, obviously, that's great, but yeah, probably around that price range.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal got money to spend. They were prepared to pay 95 million euros all in for Mudryk. They were prepared they bid 70 million all in for Caicedo. So there's money there to spend. So, I mean, it depends what they value Jorginho at. I mean, but if an offer came in for 20
million... Can I throw a conspiracy theory out there? Sorry, Charlie. Can I throw a bit of a conspiracy out there?
Mate, I'm here for it.
You know how randomly all of a sudden every journalist is like, oh, Arsenal are in for Jorginho. Are we sure Arsenal aren't just briefing that so Brighton get a bit scared and sell them Caicedo?
That's a very good point. I didn't really think of that till now.
Because if they buy somebody else, I mean, Brighton backed themselves to get Caicedo sold in the summer. Absolutely. But if we have someone in Enzo, now apparently we might get both. I'm sure we'll get to that in a second. And Arsenal have someone in Jorginho and apparently one Rice in the summer. Well, then where's Caicedo going? Do you know what I mean? Again, it's just a theory. I'm not saying this is the reality. I'm just like, hey, I'm clutching at straws. I don't want Jorginho to go to Arsenal.
No, I mean you never know, mate. I don't know, but Arsenal certainly want a lot of midfield players if it's to believe. I mean, they could be looking at what Rice and Caicedo. I mean, they want both those players. So I don't really know how they're going to go about it. Obviously, looks like a direct competition between us and them again for a couple of players. Let's get into this though from Steinberg. I did read the article. I don't know if Guardian's paywall and it only gave me a certain bit, like a certain amount of it, but I was pretty sure that when I read it, it didn't mention anything about Chelsea making a potential late push for Caicedo in there. So maybe he's just gone with that as the headline, and I don't really know. But anyway,
I haven't read it, so I can't say.
No, mate, I couldn't find it in there unless I missed something. But Chelsea closing in obviously on 115 million deal for Enzo, could make late push for Moises Caicedo tomorrow. Lawrence, I'll come to you first, mate. What are your thoughts on this? Surely that's not real, is it? I mean, it can't be. I mean, where do you stand on this?
Under which I will accept Jorginho going to Arsenal if we somehow
if it means Caicedo.
I'm like, all right then. Yes, I don't want Jorginho to go there, but off you go. Do you know what I mean? all right. But like I say, to me, this is just like all of life is a simulation. If this is a thing, how can this be real? Do you know what I mean? Like, I know Roman left the club debt free and everything, but surely we can't just sit here and if we get Enzo, we're already at 300 million for January. I know, like you said, we're not actually paying all of it instantly, but still, that goes for every club. Every club amortizes their transfers over the duration of the contract length. Just other clubs don't give as long of a contract out as we do. So aside from release clause buys, every club does the same thing. So when you compare numbers, we're still comparing the same numbers. So we're still at 300 million. And you want to add Caicedo to that, who's going to cost 80 million. Like, that's mental. It's genuine career mode. You know, when you go in FIFA and you're like, what is it called? Invest the money or whatever it is. That's what it feels like. All of a sudden, you've got like 100 trillion more. And then you buy like everyone. Then that's what this feels like, honestly. Like, how is that? I mean, I don't know. But I'll take it.
Do you think,
I'm not complaining about it if it does happen.
I mean, do you think it means both? Or they could make a late push if the Enzo thing doesn't happen. Do you think it means as well as, or do you think it's meaning if Enzo is not going to happen, we're going to make a late push for Caicedo again? I mean, how I suppose you could interpret it in two ways.
I'm not sure if it was from Steinberg, but I read somewhere that it's both.
Yeah.
But most definitely, if Enzo doesn't happen, we're definitely back in for Caicedo. But hey, positivity, boys. Enzo is happening.
I mean, Dharmesh, you'd be pretty happy, mate, with both. I mean, how likely do you see it? Do you see it happening? I mean, I'd probably say almost impossible. That would be like committing to spending probably 200 million quid on the last day of the fucking January window. I mean, it would be mad. It would be unheard of. I mean, do you think there's any chance? I mean, we could never say never under Bowley and Clearlake, as has been demonstrated with the signings this window so far. But I mean, what do you think on this? Do you honestly think this has got legs potentially for both?
Oh, Charlie, I hope you're right, man. I hope we land both of them, man. Honestly, it'd just be hilarious at the same time because it's more the rival fans. The rival fans will just cry more and more and more, and will happily just sip their tears, man. Literally, and it's just one of those where, for the benefit of our team, though, from a perspective of that, it would help us so much. Imagine Caicedo, Enzo, and say a cover midfield. That would be insane if that's sort of our midfield three, or even if it's Caicedo, Enzo, that would just be insane. Like, we've literally refreshed the whole sort of attack, and then imagine if we go and refresh the whole midfield as well in literally one window. That'd be insane. Like, obviously I want it to happen. But...
We've refreshed the defense as well.
literally, with Badia Shield as well, obviously. And yeah, I'd love it to happen, but unfortunately, I don't know. I don't think we land Caicedo unless the Enzo deal somehow collapses. Then that's the only way I can really see us going for them. But I've got like a sort of a theory in my mind as well. Like, I think we were initially in for Caicedo at the start of January, but then I think we sort of let it drag on so that Enzo was sort of in the back of the board's like mind in a way, and then as soon as Brighton said, oh, okay, yeah, we're going to ask for about 80, 90 million, Chelsea probably thinking, oh, well, we can get Enzo for about 15 million more. Why don't we just go for Enzo? And then I think that's why we pursued him so late. I think just because of Brighton and what Arsenal done, and Arsenal basically sort of pissed them off by offering 5 mil more than we did initially. So and then that Brighton, no, okay, no, we're gonna offer Caicedo for about 90 million. And then in our minds, just like why not just pay for Enzo if we're 10, 15 million short? So yeah. I don't know what you boys think of that, but that's what I was kind of thinking, that we're always in for Caicedo to start off with. But then as the price went up, we're just thinking more and more, let's just go for Enzo at this point. I don't know what you boys think as well. But,
It's possible. I mean, I think both were obviously targets, but then they probably looked at it and thought, right, Enzo was not possible, whether we fucked it up by lowballing them or whatever. It just didn't seem possible. Switched our attentions to Caicedo as like our second choice. Soon realised that actually Brighton are asking for ridiculous money. Maybe a deal's not possible there. We've got this money to spend. Why don't we go back to Benfica and see if something's possible? I don't really know. Lawrence, just quick change of tune, bro. Change of tact here. These are supposedly the leaked kits for next season. Home on the left, away kit in the middle, and that sort of green one, the third kit. I don't know how accurate this is. Footy headlines are normally pretty good. What are your thoughts?
Well, my first thoughts, before going into the positive things, are how can the home and away shirt both be blue? I don't really understand how that's the thing. But that doesn't really make sense to me. But just looking at the home shirt, because I guess you always have to think the home shirt is the most reliable one, because that's going to be the first one to be released and stuff. That is a banger, in my opinion. Now, obviously, can't forget that 3 will be changed. We will have a different sponsor, whoever that may be. Now that we've learned that apparently we had one lined up in December and that collapsed last minute, so now we need to look for another one. But I backed up Tony to figure it out. But yeah, no, I think it's good. Obviously, the sponsor can make or break a kit, always can. And it looks good with that 3 on it, but it's going to be something else. So as long as it looks good, but in general, I think it's supposed to be gold, not. Maybe it's supposed to be a maroon. I don't know. I think it's gold, not maroon, from some leaks I've seen a few weeks ago. But regardless of whether it's gold or whatever shade of color it's supposed to be, it looks good. I like it. So, And also, I'm not sure if you've ever touched on this on this channel, but the thing that our old Nike kit designers were all based in the US or whatever. And now, from now on, they're going to be based in the UK, in London. So I'm like, oh, finally, hopefully we can get some proper kits, man, because it's enough American sports jerseys now. Give us some proper football jerseys, please.
Yeah, no, I hear it. Apparently, according to Josh, is saying that the green one is supposedly the away kit. I was under the impression that the green one was the third kit. I swear I'd seen that somewhere. Oh, maybe it's not. I mean, to be honest, the away kit and the home kit aren't that dissimilar in color. If we play Everton, for example, and we're both blue, that's obviously a third kit outing. I mean, I don't know. I think they're okay. It'll be a different sponsor on the front. Remains to be seen what that is. Probably be a different sponsor on the sleeve as well. I think the Wellfin is being discarded pretty swiftly again after only being on for this season. I think there'll be a different one on the sleeve next season. I think it looks right. I mean, Dharmesh, what are your thoughts on these, bro? Do you like them? I think the home one's nice. I'm not too sure about the others.
Yeah, I like the first two. The first two are quite nice, actually. I'm not too keen on the green one, actually. But I like the first 2 kits. But now that you mentioned Everton, we might have to worry about playing them next season because it might be down. Who knows?
Yeah.
If they've taken Conor Gallagher for us for 40 million, who knows? But yeah.
I mean, they're okay.
You took it off screen now, but the one, the middle shirt probably has black shorts with it. I assume that maybe it's even black on the back, and only the front is this blue-black pattern. Because otherwise, we can't have 2 blue kits? Like that wouldn't work. Do you know what I mean? No matter whether it's the away or the third kit, you can't have 2 blue kits, and that's pointless.
No, I imagine it'll probably be a bit darker, won't it? I would expect. Let's discuss outgoings. We'll start with Conor Gallagher. Bids coming in today from Everton of all clubs, which for me, the timing seems a little bit odd, given that I'd have given this move much more legs if Frank Lampard was still in charge. Obviously, Frank Lampard not in charge. I'm sure this interest was there before he got sacked. 40 million plus 5 on add-on, so 45 million in total potentially. It's bloody good money for Conor Gallagher. And if they weren't in a relegation scrap, then I really do think if it was a Newcastle or maybe even Crystal Palace coming back in offering that money, Gallagher would probably go. Yes, I know he loves Chelsea and he wants to stay and fight for his place, but he would be prepared to leave if the club said that he could go or that he wasn't needed anymore. I mean, Lawrence, I'll come to you first, bro. Thoughts on this? This money for Gallagher is bloody good. I think we'd have to take it, but we're never going to convince the player to join Everton, particularly now that Lampard's gone.
Yeah, no, exactly that. I mean, it seems like that he's already. I mean, again, I'm not. Sometimes when you scroll Twitter and you just see things being said, and there's so many things being said, you don't remember who said what. But I can't say how reliable that report was. But I read that Gallagher basically already decided doesn't want to go to Everton. He wants to go either a top 6 club or Newcastle, which I understand from his perspective. Why would you want to go to Everton? Even if I back them with Sean Dyche staying up, I don't think Sean Dyche is going to let them go down, if I'm honest. But even then, you're going to play Sean Dyche football as Conor Gallagher. How would you even fit in a Sean Dyche team? I'm not even sure about that at the first part, but they probably wouldn't sign him if they didn't have a plan for him. But yeah, I mean, money-wise, obviously we'd have to bite the hands off. Just from a financial fair play perspective as well, selling the homegrown players is worth so much for financial fair play. It's crazy. So absolutely, we should get on that. But hey, if he says no, he says no. So what can you do, really? I mean, yeah, that's the end of the discussion. If he doesn't want to go, he's contracted with us. We can't. I mean, we could force him, but I mean, we better not force Gallagher. He's really not done bad enough and disrespected us enough that we're gonna push people out of the club now that are homegrown players. We shouldn't be doing that.
I mean, I think I've seen Adam Newson tweet something, or it might have been Ben Jacobs saying that Chelsea had turned down Conor Gallagher going out on loan anyway. I think they turned down an approach from Newcastle on loan. So it looks like certainly for the rest of this season, unless Newcastle were to come back and offer that sort of money, I think Gallagher would be tempted to go to Newcastle for sure. I think it's clear that he's going to stay for the rest of the season, at least. I mean, Darmesh, do you think that Gallagher's days are possibly numbered at Chelsea now? And he probably will be moved on in the summer in terms of kind of the players that are going to be coming in the midfield. I still think he could make a very good squad player. And I think he's done well when he's played this season, certainly in the last couple of games. Yes, his decision-making is not great and his work in a final third is not great. But I still think he could be a good squad player for the team. But then we're in the catch-22 position where he's also one of the most profitable assets at the club in terms of we can get 40 million pounds for him. I mean, I think he'll stay this month, but do you think throwing it forward, his days at Chelsea, he's probably not quite good enough to make it?
Yeah, unfortunately, with the money that's being offered for sort of to take Gallagher off our sort of hands, I probably would take it for about 40 million. We can even push to maybe 50 if we negotiate correctly, because negotiations aren't sort of always done within the first sort of proposal. I'm sure we can fork out another 10 million for Gallagher. So we're looking maybe between 45 and 55 million potentially for him, which you can't really argue with. So, and yeah, it's unfortunate in a way, but at the same time, we have to think about the team and stuff, how we benefit the team with these sort of new midfield incomings coming as well. So I think now's the right time to cash in on Conor Gallagher. But where he goes, it's a weird one, because he's kind of settled at Chelsea in a way, and he wouldn't be looking at sort of clubs like Crystal Palace, for example, Everton. In his mind, he's probably thinking, "Oh, I'm at a top 6 club. Why should I feel like I'm valued lower than that?" In a way, which is quite from I guess from his perspective, he's probably thinking that I'm settled here at Chelsea and stuff. Why would I go lower down if you know what I mean? I don't want to be in a relegation dogfight with Everton and stuff. And no disrespect to both clubs and stuff, but they're not a top 6 team or the big 6 team. So I can either probably see him staying with us for a while or potentially moving to sort of Newcastle if obviously they progress well. If they make Europe and stuff, I could potentially see that happening. But yeah, I'd definitely cash in.
I mean, Lawrence, do you think his long-term future at Chelsea is pretty much in doubt? Do you envisage him being here at the start of next season? I mean, I think we discussed before, even on your channel when you jumped on before, that he would make a good squad player. But do you think his future's in doubt now? He probably is going to be one of those that goes in the summer as we look to sell players.
All 3 of our cameras on my screen just had a loading sign on it. Now it works.
Oh, that'll be good. Yeah, that'll be good. Bro. I was just asking if you think. Yeah, did you hear what I said?
I heard you. Yeah. I think by the summer, the latest, he's gonna have left for various reasons. partly because he's not that amazing, partly because he's homegrown and therefore will, for financial fair play reasons, be huge, a money asset. Also, him being English automatically increases his transfer value compared to other players. That's the explanation for what I'm talking about. But also, look at the squad that we have at the moment. Like, Gallagher wouldn't fit in there, and Gallagher might really want to make it at Chelsea, but I still feel like he's a little bit different to Ruben in the sense that I don't see him being happy to be on the bench for 5 years straight. I don't see Gallagher as that type of guy. So I agree with Damesh, where it's like, for me, it's either Palace or one of the top 6 plus Newcastle. I think Palace, maybe he would accept, but also, like, you got to say, you mentioned it as a fair point. He's already done the whole relegation dogfight with West Brom. Now, it didn't work out for him, but he's already been there, done that. He doesn't want to do that again. Like, that's basically going 2 years back in his development, because he did that at West Brom, then got his Palace loan where they were fighting mid-table and he was having a super season. Even if people now at Chelsea think, it's awful, he's awful. But why would he? Like, why would he? Like, if I'm him, I wouldn't agree to go to Everton either.
No, I certainly wouldn't. Let's move on to another player that obviously is probably going to be on their way out pretty swiftly. If anyone knows the answer to this question here, then feel free to chip in. Hakim Ziyech looks like he's going to be on his way to PSG, which is an interesting one, to say the least. Obviously, I think PSG were in the market for an attacker, because I looked a few days ago, and Lyon had turned down an approach from PSG for Cherki, their attacker. I can't remember his first name, but PSG obviously in the market for an attacker. Let's be clear, Ziyech's not going to get many minutes ahead of Mbappe, Messi, and Neymar, but I could see him probably doing reasonably well there. L'Equipe's advanced negotiations, but then there's other reports have said that it might include an option to buy, it might not.
Ornstein, just before you open this up, Ornstein said there is an option to buy in it.
There's an option to buy. Does it say how much?
No, either bring up Ornstein's tweet himself or Pice just tweeted it as well.
Yeah, I'll switch it up. But whilst I'm doing that, mate, thoughts on a Ziyech move to PSG? Think it makes sense with this loan with an option? Do you like that?
Yeah, a loan with an option makes sense. A loan without an option, I would be questioning. While you guys were talking, I was thinking about it because notifications keep popping off on my phone. I'm like, the only logic I could have seen without an option is like, you think his struggles at Chelsea undervalued him, therefore give him a 6-month loan. It's January 30th. The season ends in May, so it's 3.5 months from now on, actually. But so a 3.5 month loan could increase his value. And if you already give an option to buy now, that option is going to be lower than after a good loan. So that was my only thinking. But now that it seems like there is a loan option anyway. See, one thing I want to mention, I don't think Messi always plays as a right winger at PSG. And because they already lost Di Maria, I think, was it last summer?
Yeah, they did. He went to Juve, yeah.
And Pablo Sarabia went to Wolves, obviously. So they've lost wingers, attackers. So it actually does make sense that they need him, even though he's basically going from our bench to their bench. Unless Messi plays as a 10, Neymar on the left, Mbappe up top, and Ziyech plays on the right.
Or maybe Messi's coming to us as a swap.
All that,
Yeah.
It's career mode, so everything's possible.
Mate, we can't rule it out. We cannot rule it out.
We're going to sign the whole front three of PSG.
Yeah. I mean,
all of them.
Here it says that obviously the Athletic article says, PSG in talks to sign Ziyech on an initial loan. Moroccan contracted to Chelsea until summer 25. Only made 10 league appearances so far this season, 4 coming from the start. PSG, one of 3 Champions League sides who are keen on signing Ziyech in the next 24 hours. Discussing loan deal, which would include option to buy. It doesn't say anything about how much the option would be, though. Doesn't say that, but they're just one of 3 Champions League sides that are keen. Looks like this will probably happen. Damesh, thoughts on Ziyech leaving on loan? I mean, he's done reasonably well in the last few games off the back of a good World Cup. But I guess overall in his Chelsea career, it's kind of not really worked out, not lived up to the expectation or the hype that we were giving it when he signed from Ajax under Lampard. I think probably this is best for both parties. He obviously doesn't want to be here, really. So it probably makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, yeah, I guess, yeah. I would have given him until the summer personally, but if he wants to move, that's fine. Hakimi's probably convinced him somehow to join PSG. He's probably on the phone to him.
Oh yeah, fair, yeah.
Yeah, because obviously
They got a
Morocco
really
connection
comfy
as well.
bench at PSG.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he won't. Yeah, he won't start many games. He might play a few of the sort of competitions they have and some league games, and might chip in the Champions League. But yeah, yeah, we'll see in the summer if we can obviously, if they actually want to buy him in the summer, we'll see what happens. If because we signed him for about was it £30 million or 30 million euros?
35 or something, roughly around there.
Yeah, and hopefully we can recoup some of that money. I think we can, because it's PSG at the end of the day. We can fork out sort of any money from them. But yeah, it's a shame it's not worked out for him, to be honest. But yeah.
I mean, Lawrence, how disappointed are you, mate, that the Ziyech thing hasn't really worked out? I mean, how invested were you in the Ziyech stocks when he came from Ajax? Did you think this was going to be a decent move? It was going to go well, or is it kind of gone how you expected?
Difficult to say. When we signed him, compared to what I hoped he would give us then and what I hoped he would be for us, certainly not what in the end it turned out to be. But I will also say, compared to what I had seen of him, which is mostly Champions League games, because I don't necessarily watch the Eredivisie regularly, do I? So, like, what I've seen in the Champions League, I was like, wow, he looks unbelievable. And obviously, the goals he scored against us, the assist he makes. The problem is anything Ziyech does with the ball at his foot while trying to shoot or cross or pass is great. As soon as he needs to run with the ball, it's not so great. And that's when it becomes a problem. I'm not trying to say he's awful. He's just not as good as with running with the ball as he is at passing and shooting it. It's just as simple as that. And then also being very one-footed isn't ideal. And I just think the Premier League, unfortunately, didn't suit him perfectly.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. Just something else I wanted to bring up here. Don't know this player at all, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. Is this it here? Yeah, this looks like it's it. This one here, RMC, which is a French outlet, Get French Football News, I think is quite reliable. Anyone know, Darmesh, you heard of this guy? I think Lawrence is frozen at the moment. Chelsea are targeting PSG's Kadi Atu Diani for summer move. 3-year deal on the table for the forward whose contract expires at the end of the season.
Never heard of him before, I'll be honest. Nah, no idea.
I haven't heard of him.
Oh, you're back in the mix. Yeah, bro, you're back in the mix. Yeah, Lawrence.
I've no idea what's happening. Because my
mate, I'm not sure either.
I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, no, I think no, we're good, mate. This here, I've never heard of this geezer. 27 summer move potential, 3-year deal on the table for the forward. Seems that, I mean, have you heard of this guy? No?
No, mate, I don't even know what flipping position he plays.
Oh, apparently he's a forward.
Actually.
Yeah.
Wait, I got it.
Well, the chat let us know.
This is women's football we're talking about. That's why none of us
Oh, no. Oh, fuck. Yeah. Oh, that's, yeah.
It still counts, I guess. It still counts.
Yeah. Stop the, yeah. I'm going to cut this bit out of the stream when we're finished.
I was like,
it still counts. It's still part of Chelsea, I guess.
No,
I was going to do a whole Conor McGregor. Who the fuck is that guy?
Mate, I was like, I was like thinking, I must have heard of a PSG forward. And I'm thinking, 27 years of me, 27, and we've already signed loads of forwards. I was thinking, no, this is something's not quite right here.
I think Simon Phillips did it on purpose. He knew that the whole Chelsea fan base would be like, oh my god.
No, Simon Phillips has done me dirty there, and I've fallen for it like straight off the bat. That's really. Pice has just replied to it. This is women's football, in case people are wondering. Yes, I was wondering. But it's a bit late for that now.
That's funny.
Yeah, boys. To round out, then let's. I know. I asked you at the start. I'll start with you, Darmesh. Is Enzo going to be a Chelsea player by 11 p.m. tomorrow?
Oh man. Yes, I'm going to say yes. Judging of what I've read and reported today, my gut is now saying yes. To Enzo.
And if he's not,
I wanted Enzo before, but obviously, like, will it actually get done? Yeah, I believe so. We're in the driving seat now. Yeah.
And if he's not a Chelsea player tomorrow, you think Moises Caicedo will be a Chelsea player instead?
Oh,
No.
yes, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So you think?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll go with that. So if it's
I
not
don't know.
Enzo, it'll be
Todd Bowley. You can trust Todd Bowley to do anything. Like, who knows? We might even end up with both tomorrow. We don't even know. Literally.
Hey, you just never know.
Honestly.
Lawrence, what do you think, mate, to round out? You think Enzo, I know I asked you at the start, but your thoughts might have changed. I don't know. Enzo, Chelsea player by 11 p.m. tomorrow? And if not, will Caicedo be?
Yes, I think Enzo will be a Chelsea player by 11 p.m. tomorrow. I mean, we flew a flipping jet out there to get it back. Surely we're not flying jets out there if we're not pretty confident at least to get it. Do you know what I mean? Like, save the bloody planet. Don't fly jets around for no reason, please.
I mean, is that one
Moises
flying out to
Caicedo,
Lisbon?
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, is that one flying out to Lisbon? Is that empty, that one that's meant to have left at like 8:30 or whatever it was?
It's got to be.
Is that empty, or is there more people going over in it? Because Egbali's gone over?
Probably his family as well. They're probably all just getting down to London now, probably. Who knows?
We've got plane trackers in the building. Plane is 1 hour away. Plane's 1 hour away. So Matt is our plane tracker in the chat. 1 hour away now. I don't know who's on that plane. Hopefully some important people to get a deal done. But yeah, unfortunately, no, we didn't get the here we go that we were hoping to get live on the stream. Maybe what will probably happen is it will come within 5 minutes of finishing, which is normally what happens with these things. But we're gonna what's this? Josh, where have you seen that? Because we have covered Jorginho to Arsenal. So what source is that? Because I mean I haven't seen anything from anyone.
Pletty go. That's the
the German guy.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you're joking.
Just, I think he's just sort of.
Simon Phillips has just put it out.
Jorginho
is close to joining Arsenal via Florian Plettenberg.
Interesting.
But why would he know? Why would a German journalist know about an Italian player with Brazilian heritage joining from one London club to the other?
Well, what he's saying, saying here is, and I might as well bring it up on the screen. He is saying this, and it's for Sky Deutschland. Do you get Sky Deutschland in Austria? You must do. Yeah. That's your main thing, yeah.
Whoa, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. So this is saying here for Sky Deutschland. That's what Sky D is, isn't it? Sky D, Sky Deutschland. I haven't just made that up, have I?
It's Sky Deutschland.
This Plettenberg, who, in fairness to him, it is quite accurate with what he does. I mean, more Bundesliga, of course, rather than other leagues, I think. But being told that Jorginho is close to joining Arsenal because Gallagher won't join Everton. The deal with Gallagher is close to being off. Chelsea wants to sell Jorginho instead of Gallagher, apparently. Lauren's quick reaction on that before we round out. Are you surprised that the club would rather sell Jorginho than Gallagher?
Yes, just for money reasons. Because how much are they going to get for Jorginho? What, 10 million, 15 million max? I can't see any more happening. For someone that only has 6 months left in his contract. Compared to 45 for Gallagher. Now, Gallagher doesn't want to join Everton, okay? I think it's more down to that. I know, Florian Plettenberg said it the way he did now, but I think it's more down to Gallagher doesn't want to join Everton and no one else is making a permanent offer because Newcastle, I think, like you say earlier, want him on loan. And I don't think Palace are going to try right now. So that's probably what's happening, but I'm kind of fuming at Gallagher because now Gallagher is the reason we have to help Arsenal win the title. I was stupid. It makes me dislike Gallagher for more. What the fuck?
I mean, obviously, if Gallagher wanted to go to Everton, this still would be done. Like 45 million all in for Conor Gallagher is outrageous. I mean, Dharmesh, your thoughts on that? Looks like, according to these reports, that Jorginho could be pretty close to being an Arsenal player. Which is a bit of a shame, really, if that is to be the case.
That's wild, man. Like, who would have honestly predicted this? Like this time yesterday, it's just mad. But yeah, I don't know. It's honestly a shame if he goes. To be honest, I would have wanted to keep him, but it all depends on the money.
It is a shame. It really is. But I mean, yeah. What can we do? I mean, look, Ashraf, I get what you're saying. Like Gallagher stays. He was going to stay because he didn't want to go to Everton, which is fair enough. That's his prerogative. If Lampard was there, as we said earlier, maybe there's more chance of this happening. But the fact they're in a relegation scrap, he's under contract at Chelsea for a few more years. He's got every right to say no. And as annoying as it is, all we can hope for now is that maybe the Saudis at Newcastle come up with a bid, and we don't have to sell Jorginho to Newcastle.
I think Newcastle
to Arsenal.
restricted by financial fair play. I think that's why they
are they? Are they still?
I don't know.
Oh, really?
Because they obviously don't have Europe, do they? So all this income that we got from the Champions League and stuff every year, mind you, we only won the Champions League less than 2 years ago. So huge revenue stream from that, which Newcastle obviously haven't had in decades. So I think that's the main reason why they can't spend big, because they only have Premier League revenue.
Yeah, no, I think that could be. Plus, they've just spent 45 potentially on all in on Anthony Gordon.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it means that I suppose we've got something to be thankful for to them, that they stopped us from getting Gordon. I don't know how serious the Gordon reinterest was, but at least I'm definitely know that he's
more Gordon joining us or Jorginho joining Arsenal. I'm not sure. What
I mean, they're both pretty bad scenarios.
Does this mean Caicedo comes Chelsea then? Because I'm so my head's just scrambled in that way. If Jorginho is going Arsenal,
if Jorginho leaves, we're just going what? We just do 1 in, 1 out. Surely we're not selling Jorginho without knowing that a midfielder is definitely coming.
Yeah, that's true as well. But obviously,
I mean, I might be wrong in that assumption, but we're pretty depleted in midfield anyway. If we are to sanction Jorginho to Arsenal, that must mean that we've got someone else lined up to come in. Hopefully Enzo, maybe Caicedo,
for sure,
or maybe just a completely random guy. I mean, Norris, do you think we've got someone lined up for sure if we sanction this Jorginho move? We must do. Surely we're not that stupid to sell him with no one to replace.
I just don't want. I wouldn't get ahead of myself if Sky Germany say Jorginho is close to joining Arsenal. Again, why would they be first to know this? I see. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying I don't think it's as close as that guy puts it, because why would he know first? That would just be, I don't see it. But in general, I agree though. I don't think we're going to sanction Jorginho going anywhere before we have anything set in stone for someone happening. But what I don't understand is how can it possibly be between Gallagher and Jorginho? They fill completely different positions.
Yeah, it's crazy.
This is where it feels like, again, we have owners that don't know football that well. Where I'm like, someone tell them that I know they both play midfield, but they're still two very different positions. Because what is it? Just if Jorginho leaves, Enzo plays as 6. If Gallagher leaves, Enzo plays as an 8. Is that the idea? Surely not. Surely we have a specific plan for Enzo, not just depending on who leaves. That just seems mental to me.
This is from Chelsea Transfer. I don't know if I follow Chelsea Transfer on Twitter, but anyway, we'll bring it up. Fernando Sierra on Benfica TV just confirmed Rui Costa is currently handling negotiations regarding Enzo. Well, I mean, I don't know what else he's been. I don't know what he's been doing all day. I think that's probably reasonably old news. But yeah, nothing. I don't think there's too much more to say. We didn't get the here we go that we were looking for. Maybe that comes overnight and we wake up and Enzo is a Chelsea player. That's what we can hope for. But yeah, seems like a good place to round this one out. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in the chat. As always, really appreciate it. Haven't actually mentioned it today, but make sure you smash the likes on the stream on your way out and subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't done so already. Need to head towards the 3,000 subscriber mark as quickly as possible. So every new subscriber really helps. And all you have to do is click that subscribe button. Takes seconds, cost you no money, and you'd be massively helping me out. So please do that. Likewise, whilst you're subscribing to the channel, please go and subscribe to Lawrence's channel as well. The @ is linked in the description, so you didn't even have. All you have to do is click on it and then subscribe to his channel as well. Help him on his road to 20,000 subscribers. And Darmesh, thanks for coming as well, bro. Massively appreciated. Darmesh's Twitter linked in the description below as well, so please go and give him a follow on there. Guys, thanks so much. Darv, don't give me that shit when I'm rounding out Enzo Fernandez. Here we go. We don't
I
need
saw it and I instantly updated Twitter and there's nothing.
No, there's nothing. Why are we? No, we don't need that shit. Right. There's no Enzo. Here we go. Guys, I'll be back tomorrow. Deadline day stream. Lawrence, deadline day stream tomorrow for you as well, bro.
Deadline day stream, and hey, I've got my things prepared. So if we still get here we go, I'm still going tonight. I mean.
Yeah, mate. Lauren, notification live 4 a.m. Enzo, here we go.
Maybe not at 4 a.m. I'll give it until midnight.
Give it until midnight. Fair. Guys, thanks for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow with Deadline Day stream, as will Lawrence as well. So make sure you tune in. And thank you guys. Catch you again soon. Up the Chelsea, and hopefully we get the here we go soon. Cheers, guys.